Activist Radio is on the air. You've tuned into the Mark Harrington Show.
Sponsored by Created Equal.
Time is running out for our nation. I beg of you, you need to stand against the evil that's plaguing our nation.
If you don't like abortion, don't have one.
The only thing that can be said to be objective truth is that there is no objective truth.
Like, you kill a baby fetus, the same thing as killing any old inanimate object.
I would argue that we certainly are not all created equal.
Mark is training a new generation of leaders.
To take on the culture of death and win.
You young people, it's your movement now. It's not your parents anymore.
The blood that is shed cries out to God from the ground for justice.
And now, here's Mark.
So are we criminalizing Christianity in the midst of the COVID-19 crisis? Are we criminalizing the preaching of the gospel and the defending of the unborn during this national emergency of the coronavirus? You're listening to your radio activist, Mark Harrington, on the Mark Harrington Show. And folks, you can find out more about our radio program by going to markharrington.org. Or if you want to find out about our pro-life ministry, you can go to createdequal.org. I am the president of Created Equal, and we reach out to college and high school students all across America. Of course, we've had to pivot like a lot of other people during this crisis and focus on other things like counseling at abortion centers. And we're going to be talking about that today. Are we criminalizing Christianity in the midst of the COVID crisis? In other words, are things being done by police and law enforcement to single out law-abiding, peaceful Christians as they witness out front of abortion centers? If you've been listening to the program over the last several weeks, I've been talking about this. It's been happening to us here in our own hometown as we witness in front of our Planned Parenthood. But it's also happening across the country. We've seen incidences in Detroit, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and now in Charlotte, North Carolina, where pro-lifers are being threatened and arrested for simply trying to counsel, bringing the truth of the gospel and the life-saving message of Jesus Christ to those who might be considering abortion. So to do that, we're going to be talking to David Benham. And in order to set this up, what I want to do, I'm going to play a clip. This is from David's website, BenhamBrothers.com. I want to play the clip. This is David Benham being arrested in front of an abortion center in Charlotte, North Carolina. So go ahead and play that clip.
We are practicing social distancing. We have cleaned our hands. We are offering help to these mothers. And if you're saying that we don't have the right to be here, then go in the abortion clinic and make the arrest there.
Mr. Benham, I don't have the authority to go in the abortion clinic.
So you don't have the authority to go in the abortion clinic, but you have the authority to bully us and our sidewalk counselors. Yes, you are.
I'm being as nice
yes,
as I can be.
You're trying to be nice. It's passive aggressive. But guess what's happening? I'm not budging, and our sidewalk counselors are not budging.
I respect your rights, believe me. But at this time, can you please step over there?
I'll step over here. Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
I certainly will.
Thank you.
But you know we're right. You know we're right.
Okay.
And I appreciate you serving. I appreciate everything that you do for us.
Yes, sir.
But this is wrong, and you know it. You cannot tell us to leave.
Can.
You know I am well within my constitutional authority to be here. You know that I'm.
Yes, sir. It's in my vehicle.
You know that we're doing the right thing.
Did you need to escort me?
You need to go to the park and make arrests.
Okay, so who has their citations?
I'm getting hers and just.
All right, well, that's the clip. If you want to find out more, you can watch this video on David Benham's website at BenhamBrothers.com, or you can go to their Facebook page. And my guest today is David Benham. He's the chairman of the board of Cities for Life, and he's also a former professional baseball player, nationally acclaimed entrepreneur, and he made a lot of news a couple of years ago in his success in business when he attempted to launch a television show on HGTV, and because of his biblical values, the show was canceled before it was aired. Now, I know David because of his father, Flip Benham, and Flip is or was the national director for Operation Rescue way back in the days in the 1990s. We're going way back here, where I used to run around with Randall Terry and Flip Benham and Keith Tucci and those of Operation Rescue and Rusty Thomas and others. And David was there when we were set apart, when we were commissioned, my family and I, for pro-life ministry in 1997 in Dayton, Ohio. So, David, thanks for being on the Mark Harrington Show.
Mark, it is an honor. And I still remember that night in Dayton, Ohio. I was a junior in college and flew in town to be part of that whole event for that week. And it was a very special time.
Well, it was a big night for us, of course, and we've been going strong ever since. So, now almost 23 years.
Yeah, man.
We've been at it. So anyway, I love your family. I love your dad. And you guys, obviously, your father has played an important part in my life. I don't know if I'd be doing what I'm doing if it weren't for he and Randall Terry. So, David, obviously, a lot of people have been following you over the years, and then just recently this incident in Charlotte, North Carolina. If you would just give us the story. I know that Cities for Life, you guys are well known across America for taking the gospel to abortion centers. Fill us in, because this made big news across America. Yeah. We're seeing this all across the country, unfortunately. The law enforcement is just overstepping their bounds. Treating Planned Parenthood differently than they are law-abiding, peaceful, pro-life activists. So
that's exactly
tell us
right.
what happened. Tell us what happened.
Just think about this picture for a moment. Think about the busiest abortion clinic in the Southeast. I mean, hundreds of patients a week, and the lobby is filled with patients, and they have cars in the lot. There's zero social distancing whatsoever, and then you have a skeleton crew of sidewalk counselors, 3 of them to be exact, with a mobile ultrasound unit and 2 RV ultrasound technicians aboard that. And our ministry had actually taken sidewalk chalk and written on the sidewalk spacing so that our sidewalk counselors could still go above and beyond to honor COVID law. That's the picture. Now, Saturday morning, I get a phone call, and it's from our attorney. Said, "Hey, David, you might need to head down to the abortion facility. We've got a skeleton crew of sidewalk counselors, but there's a host of police officers and they're threatening arrest." And I was like, what? How could that be?
Gosh.
So I head down there, and of course I arrived on the scene exactly as I just described it. And I saw way more police officers than anything else. And I just get out of the car, and the police officer came over to me. I had my 2 sons with me and one of their friends, and I had told them, "Hey guys, social distancing, even though we just rode in the same vehicle, social distancing, we're going to stay across the street. We're not even going to go over to the abortion facility. We're going to stay across the street, and I'm going to find out what's going on." Officer comes right at me and says, "Sir, you cannot be here. There is no gathering of more than 10 people. Now, let's just stop for a second. You look at video, you look at any pictures.
Right. Again, my guest is David Benham, and he is the chairman of the board of Cities for Life. We're talking about the arrest, his arrest for peacefully counseling out front of the so-called Preferred Women's Health Center in Charlotte. David, we lost you for a second. Go ahead and continue on with the story.
Okay, my back end. I'm not sure where'd you lose? Okay. So the officer said there's more than 10 people. I said, no, there's not. First of all, there's not more than 10 people. And if you're saying that a gathering of more than 10 people is what's going to make an arrest, then go to the park, go to Home Depot, go into the abortion facility.
Exactly.
But so in North Carolina, the abortion facility is deemed essential. Well, also in North Carolina, under the state statute and the local ordinance, is a provision for public charities. And Cities for Life is a federally recognized public charity who has serviced over 5,000 mothers since 2010. And we give them life-affirming solutions. We plug them into ministries, housing, crisis care, medical support, baby showers, you name it, they get all of these things. So we are an essential ministry, an essential business. But even if we weren't, we still weren't breaking the 10-person gathering law. Anyway, so they went ahead and you hear in the video, I just said, you can't make this arrest. They said, yes, sir. And then later in the video, he said, we're only acting on the authority of our attorney, which uncovers something even far darker.
Yes.
Is that there's collusion. It's the mayor's office, the liberal governor, the district attorney, the city attorney, the manager, the city council, and CMPD, the police department, which I respect all of my leaders. I love my leaders. I don't agree with all of their opinions, but I still love and respect them. And yet they collude together. And then after my arrest, they circulated a narrative with the Charlotte Observer and various other media outlets that Benham led a protest of more than 50 people. That is ridiculous. I mean, it's such a lie. So Ted Cruz gets wind of it. He tweets it out like, what is going on here? And of course, when Ted Cruz jumps in, he and his ostrich boots, everybody starts jumping in. And, and they took me to jail. And, I say, as I've been doing lots of interviews, it's really two things. On the one hand, we've got rights. On the other hand, we have our responsibilities. With our rights, our rights are being trampled on. It's viewpoint discrimination. On the other hand, it's our responsibility as Christians to the most vulnerable among us. We are altering our entire economy, our entire nation, our behaviors are changing just to protect ourselves. How about the church maybe take that route and entirely change our behaviors to protect the unborn? So while my rights and other rights are being trampled on, I really believe it is opening the eyes of the church to our ultimate responsibility to the voiceless.
Amen. Again, my guest is David Benham, chairman of the board of Cities for Life. It's a pro-life ministry based out of Charlotte, North Carolina. We're talking about his arrest for peacefully counseling out front of an abortion center in Charlotte, North Carolina. And you can find out more about the work of David and Jason, his twin brother, by going to benhambrothers.com. That's benhambrothers.com to find out more about their work. Also, folks, if you want to get on board and sign the petition that's been circulated by our good friend Ted Cruz, you can also go. It's on the screen right now. It's also on my social media sites on Facebook and elsewhere. Get on board and petition the Governor Ray Cooper, the governor of North Carolina, to treat nonprofit pro-life ministries the same as they would any other essential business. David, as we look across the landscape of America right now, we see these governors, they're handing down these executive orders saying that non-essential medical procedures are supposed to be banned. But Planned Parenthood, for the most part, all across America, at least except for one state, that's Texas, is just, defying these orders left and right. And law enforcement is just looking the other way, but they're going after people like yourself. I mean, are we looking at the police state here? Because I don't want to go too far, but clearly there's something wrong right now with what's going on in America. And I'm sounding the alarm. I'm sounding the alarm.
Seven, you should, and I'm so thankful that you are sounding the alarm. Do you know 75 years ago today, Dietrich Bonhoeffer was hung in Nazi Germany by a piano wire? Now, we don't have anything like that here in this country. However, he said this. He said, it is not enough to simply help hurting people. You must also stop the things that hurt them. And it is hurting women, vulnerable mothers that are facing unplanned pregnancies. It is hurting them to viewpoint discriminate pro-life ministries and to have Governor Roy Cooper and other governors across this country that are targeting pro-life Christians. We are not there protesting anything. We are there giving life-affirming services. Listen, when a woman gets an abortion at Planned Parenthood or at the local abortion facility here in Charlotte, they walk out the door and we are the ones that are helping them even after they've gotten an abortion, because those abortion facilities don't care. They don't follow up. They don't help these mothers. They're not helping them with housing assistance. They're not helping them with their children. They're not plugging either their boyfriend or significant other or maybe spouse into some of these groups that can help them be a better man. They're not plugging them into a job fair network. They don't do any of this stuff, but we do. No. And yet the governor still targets us. And if we don't stand up to this, I don't know what it's going to be like for our children and our children's children. So I'm thankful for that petition that Senator Cruz has out, and I'm thankful for your ministry as well.
Well, like I said, we've been sounding the alarm here. You know, the fact that Planned Parenthood, think about this, Planned Parenthood is killing children, and the government is looking the other way and saying, well, that's essential, or they're defying it and just getting away with it. And as you rightly put it in the video, and I thought this was really good, you said, well, listen, if you're going to enforce this 10-person rule, then just go inside the building of Planned Parenthood, because clearly there are more than 10 people gathered there in their waiting room. So they're not enforcing that either.
And here's what's interesting. He says, I don't listen to this. This is just, we got to think this through as Americans and as Christians. Yeah. He said, I don't have the authority to go in there. In other words,
telling, very telling.
Someone gave him the authority. Go get those pro-lifers.
Go get the pro-lifers.
Someone gave me the authority to go get you. I can't go get them. But you, even though you are practicing COVID regulations, even though you are, look at the video. Yeah. I wasn't around 10 people. I didn't organize some protest. There weren't 50 people there. Yet he had authority. Go get them. And that's what we're seeing right now. We know it's the mayor's office. We know it's city council. We know it's the city attorney. And we know it's coming from the governor. And we're saying, guys, you know what? We need to fight this. While I fight it respectfully, I fight it with a smile on my face because we know the ultimate end of this all. We still have to fight it passionately. We're not just defending the rights of the unborn to defend them. We are defending the rights of the unborn to win this battle, to help give them a voice and to help these mothers who feel they have no other choice.
My guest again, David Benham. Go to benhambrothers.com. He's the chairman of the board of Cities for Life and was arrested last week for peacefully counseling out front of an abortion center in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I wish this was an isolated incident, but every day I see it in my news feed on Facebook and other things where people are being harassed, they're being arrested across the country for doing this very same thing. You know, our governor made an exception for free speech in our executive order. And I thought to myself, why does he even need to do that? I mean, think about it. Free speech is essential. If anything isn't essential, free speech is essential. Why do we even have to put a line item in our executive order to make sure that free speech is still allowed in America? We have just fallen for all of this stuff. I'm for, like you, for law and order and following these just orders and trying to slow the spread of the COVID-19 virus. I'm all for that. We're staying at home. We're practicing social distancing. We're doing all those things. But when I see them just overlooking Planned Parenthood and the abortion industry because they're the sacred cow, right? I mean, they're the sacred cow of government. I say enough's enough. We're not going to play these kind of games in this double standard.
Yeah.
And I thank you for your stand.
Well, hey, I thank you. You're the one out there every single day doing it, and I really appreciate yours as well.
So go to benhambrothers.com, find out more. Also, you can go to my social media sites and sign the petition that Senator Ted Cruz is circulating to try to get Roy Cooper, the governor of North Carolina, to treat a nonprofit organization like Cities for Life like they do any other essential service. David, if you would, I don't want to keep you too much longer. If you would, just leave a couple parting words for our audience here. I know you're on the front line. I thank you for your work there in North Carolina, for your family, all that you've been doing, and the platform that God has given you. Exhort our listeners to stand strong.
Well, I'll tell you this, you know, Christ tells us that we are to love our neighbors, both the born and the preborn. It means all of them. And the real heroes in this are the sidewalk counselors and the pregnancy
right.
resource centers all across this country. I'm no hero. These folks are just in the trenches doing amazing
Every
things.
day.
And people like my dad and others that have gone before us. My arrest was nothing compared to some of the arrests I watched when I was a kid, how he'd get beat up, and I watched arms broken. I saw all kinds of stuff. And so I'm so thankful for that. But I'll tell you this, now is our time. We have to stand in the gap.
Amen.
We have to drastically alter our behavior as the church to be a voice for the voiceless. We cannot stand idly by. And that doesn't mean right now in the midst of these COVID regulations, we want to submit to those. So I encourage people, if you go to an abortion facility and pray or whatever, just social distancing, less than 10 people. Don't go out there and congregate and gather. But I'll tell you this, we have various ministries here in Charlotte. Lovelife.org is an amazing ministry that's doing some great prayer walk initiatives. Lovelife.org is fantastic. And, there's just so many ways for us to get involved. But it is right now is our moment to take the theology of life and make it biography in the streets, to offer hope and healing. And I see you smiling there because you've heard my dad say that.
No, I have, brother.
You're one of the few. And but it's my generation now. My dad is still alive. He's still kicking. He's doing great. But the greatest leaders hand off the baton at top speed. Amen. And right now, the baton is in our hands. So if you're in your 40s, 30s, 20s, baton's in your hand. And I'm not saying in your 50s, 60s, it's not. But you encourage us young people to get out there. And this is the time we have to win this thing.
Amen. My guest has been David Benham. He is a chairman of the board at Cities for Life. And you can find out more about their work at benhambrothers.com or was it lovelife.org? Was that the other one, David?
Yeah, lovelife.org is a fantastic ministry that's really helping people through the prayer initiatives out at the abortion facility. So maybe they're not feeling comfortable with the sidewalk counseling yet or any of that other stuff. This is just a real low barrier of entry, and it's very, very God-honoring.
Well, we appreciate your voice and your stand for life, Lord, David, and what you're inspiring people all across America to take a stand. And be respectful and being civil to our government officials. I appreciated that and all that you did. But being firm, being strong, and standing for the truth and the gospel and religious freedom. So we appreciate you being on the program.
Well, thanks for having me. God bless you. Keep going strong. Appreciate your work.
All right, you too. Again, my guest has been David Benham, and you can find out more by going to benhambrothers.com. benhambrothers.com or lovelife.org to find out more. Now let's switch gears. I want to give you a quick update on what's happening across the country in the states. If you've been following the program here, you know that we've been on the front line of trying to get our governors and our attorney generals to enforce these executive orders that have been issued in now, I think it's 32 states, where they have called for non-essential medical procedures to cease, which of course should and do in many cases include abortion centers. As of today, Mr. Producer, if you put up that map, if I sent that to you, as of today, there are 12 states that have ordered the surgical abortions to stop. Those are Ohio, Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee, Kentucky, Oklahoma, Iowa, Indiana, West Virginia, Arkansas, and Alaska. So there's 12 of them. Of those 12, unfortunately, only one, Texas, as of today, is ceasing all surgical abortions. Other states are either ignoring it. The abortion industry is either ignoring it, or there has been a lawsuit that has put a temporary restraining order. We are hoping, folks, that this is going to go to the U.S. Supreme Court because there's a discrepancy between the Ohio decision with the Sixth Circuit and the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals in Texas. One has ruled that the state has the authority to shut these down. Others has ruled in Ohio, for an example, that the state does not have the authority. So we're hoping that this is going to go up to the U.S. Supreme Court and that they are going to rule in favor of shutting down these abortion centers and holding them to the same standard that other non-essential medical facilities are being held. So if you want to stay on top of this, keep on our going to our social media platforms at Created Equal and my own personal social media platforms, as well as staying tuned to the Mark Harrington Show. We come to you every week here on this platform, as well as in the cities of Detroit, Cleveland, and Columbus over the air on Salem Radio. We'll see you next time. God bless you. God bless America. And remember, America, to bless God.
You've been listening to Mark Harrington, your radio activist. For more information on how to become a witness against the evil plague in America, call Created Equal at 614-269-7808. That's 614-269-7808. Or go online to createdequal.net. Createdequal.net. Be sure to tune to the Mark Harrington Show next time for your marching orders in the culture war.